A little under a year ago, I discovered a story that terrified me to the core. That story was The Enigma of Akamigara Fault. To this day, I can't get the final image of that story out of my head. And the same can be said for almost every work of its great author, Junji Ito. Recently, I discovered another story by Junji Ito that I hadn't read before, his retelling of Frankenstein. So, in the spirit of Halloween, I want to talk about Junji Ito's adaptation of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Before we can understand Junji Ito's adaptation, we need to look at the original Mary Shelley's 1820 novel, Frankenstein. First, let me give you a quick one-sentence summary from Wikipedia. Frankenstein tells the story of Victor Frankenstein, a young scientist who creates a hideous creature in an unorthodox scientific experiment. The novel explores the psyche of a man who attempts to create life and then has to deal with the repercussions of what he has created. The original text is known for exploring themes of isolation and the pursuit of knowledge. Of course, the novel is also known for being an incredible piece of horror writing. The stalking, violence, and dark imagery of the text frighten in a slow but terrifying way. The novel terrifies with its ability to make us understand why someone would create a monster like this, and through the depictions of the monster itself. But one of the most unsettling parts of the text is the potentially unreliable narrator, Victor Frankenstein. Most of the text is Frankenstein recalling events in his life, but we never know if he is actually telling the truth or not. Frankenstein claims to have created a great monster from the corpses of already dead people. The potential details that Frankenstein might be leaving out in his retelling of the events adds an extra layer of horror. So we have a novel that explores interesting themes while providing feelings of dread and horror at the same time. And, of course, we know that Frankenstein has spawned many adaptations over the years. Junji Ito's adaptation, in particular, highlights his strength in the genre of horror, as well as the potential for all types of adaptations. Adaptations of stories in different mediums have the potential to enhance the story by leveraging the techniques of each specific medium. For Junji Ito and the medium of comics, that comes in the form of imagery and closure. Every image in a comic is limited to its own place in time. It makes it so the reader gets to choose how long to look at each image individually. But by pairing these images together through closure, we are able to infer the movement of time and space. Junji Ito uses these techniques within comics to expand on the original story of Frankenstein. It doesn't change the plot of the original text, but shows that plot mainly through images. Like I discussed earlier, one of the strengths of the original text is the potential unreliability of the narrator, Victor Frankenstein. Ito's version takes that unreliability away. By showing images of what Frankenstein is talking about, it gives us an omniscient viewpoint. But it never takes away from the horror of the original text, and actually transforms that horror. Instead of focusing on the slow reality of the situations, as readers we are confronted with the reality of terror. Ito's depiction of the monster is frightening on its own, and by taking away some of the ambiguity of the original text, Ito is able to explore specifically what makes a monster like this scary. For example, the first time we see the monster's whole body is on page 47. Ito takes the whole page to highlight just how larger than life this creature is, and how overpowering it could potentially be over its creator, Victor Frankenstein. This also enhances the scare that would come 6 pages later, when we see the monster's face for the first time. Ito makes us come face to face with this terrifying creature by creating a singular image that is horrifying. This works so well for a comic versus a film because the reader can examine and stay on one image for an unlimited amount of time. Images like this are everywhere in this adaptation, and create a different feeling of horror than the original text. It is confronting us with the truly terrifying imagery of what creating a monster means. What makes this adaptation truly worthwhile isn't just how it leverages the different medium it is being told to create a different emotion, but how it holds on to the things that transcend different mediums. Thematically, the story has the same questions that leave you when you are finished reading the original text. Reading Junji Ito's adaptation, you feel the empathy for the monster that just feels alone. You feel the same sense of purpose that filled Victor Frankenstein in his pursuit of knowledge. And just like the original text, a huge part of why this story is horrifying is because you can see yourself or people you know following in the same footsteps. Junji Ito understands the benefits of adaptation and its limitations. With Frankenstein, we get an adaptation that expands the way the original text scared the reader without sacrificing any of the messages underneath the story. A truly great example of the potential of adaptation. If you haven't read Junji Ito's work before, I strongly recommend that you check him out, especially during the Halloween season. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.